first, local HD news. Live from our studios in Erie, Pennsylvania, this is C News.
Good evening, I'm Emily Welsh. Thanks for choosing C News at 6. We begin with a robbery. For the fourth time in 8 days, a bank or credit union has been the victim. This time, the Americo Credit Union at West 23rd and Pittsburgh. The thief allegedly ran in around 4:45 this afternoon. Matt Knadler is at the scene for us with the latest. Matt?
We have a developing story here at the top of the hour, a bank robbery here at the Americo Federal Credit Union, 2545 West 23rd, and here's what we know right now. Around 5:45, reports came in of a white male allegedly with a gun. None was shown, however, but police report that he did have a gun. He's described as being, again, white male, 5 feet 8 inches tall, wearing a ball cap. He had a tan shirt on with yellow satchel on his back. Now, again, police are still inside at this hour. Mill Creek Police, that is, still inside trying to investigate, determine if how much money was stolen, if any at all. We'll bring you the very latest coming up here tonight at 11 o'clock on C News. Reporting now, Matt Knadler, C News.
And you can check our website, WSCE.TV, for updates on this developing story as well. And meanwhile, progress in the last bank robbery as Erie police named their suspect in what was Erie County's third bank robbery in 1 week. Take a look. This is the man police say held up the Erie Federal Credit Union on Buffalo Road last Friday, 30-year-old Angel LeBron. He's described as a Hispanic man, 5'7" tall and about 150 pounds. According to police, LeBron robbed the credit union around 5 o'clock Friday evening. He reportedly had a gun during the robbery attempt, and soon after the call, police found a blue Mercury Grand Marquis that was seen leaving the scene. It was about 6 blocks from the credit union. If you can help police find this man, call them at 870-1120. It's the latest warning to Erie parents. A 12-year-old boy is struck by gunfire walking along a city street. It's just a few days after a young girl narrowly escaped a bullet in her East Erie home. The shots went off around 11:30 last night near the corner of East 25th and Wallace Streets. The boy told police he was walking with his 17-year-old brother and friends when someone fired 4 or 5 shots out of a car in their direction. The boy took a bullet to the arm. He went to the hospital and has since been released. Police tell us the vehicle involved is a tan sedan. Police Chief Randy Bowers says the boy didn't violate the city's curfew by being out that late.
During the school year, they have to be in by 10 p.m. But on weekends and during summer vacation, they're not in violation until after midnight. So this was a half hour before curfew.
Been made. Anyone with information is asked to call Erie Police. Additional charges are now facing 2 more men in a home invasion robbery and police-involved shooting out of Jamestown. Lavelle Jones and Jacon Hicks, both 26 years old and from Buffalo, are charged with multiple counts of burglary, robbery, sexual abuse, criminal use and possession of a firearm, and assault. A Chautauqua County grand jury handed down these new charges in an indictment. Officers exchanged gunfire with the suspects and 2 other men at an apartment on Falconer Street on the morning of July 1st. We've reported that one of the suspects shot at an officer and the officer fired back. No police were hurt. All 4 suspects are now in prison at the Chautauqua County Jail on $1 million cash bond. Well, the Erie industrial landscape is changing with the partial demolition of a local manufacturing plant. Crews have been tearing down part of Erie Forge and Steel for nearly a month now, and they're dismantling its former melt shop. The 41.7-acre site on West 16th Street has been the Forge's home since 1918, but now the plant is making changes. City of Erie Code Enforcement Manager Andy Zimmerman says the company plans to leave the concrete base of the melt shop in place, which could mean reconstruction in the future.
Normally they'll do that, cuts down on their mowing, and in case they do want to ever build there, they have foundation and slab there that they can build off.
And we reached out to Erie Forge's parent company, Wicu, for comment on future plans, but they did not immediately return our calls. 2 motorcycle crashes turned fatal during the Roar on the Shore weekend. Police are now investigating the second one, which happened on Interstate 90 between the Albion and Cherry Hill exits. That happened around 10:30 Sunday morning. Police say 55-year-old Michael Bradley of Akron, New York, lost control of his Harley and crashed, and he apparently only had minor injuries, but the passenger, his wife, 42-year-old Wendy Bradley, was pronounced dead at the scene. Troopers say they were both wearing their helmets. And that's the third reported motorcycle accident in our area over the Roar on the Shore weekend. And as we mentioned, the second fatal one. 66-year-old William Stablin Sr. of Erie died after an accident Thursday night at East 38th and Lake Pleasant Road in Erie. In that case, Erie police say a car turned into the path of the motorcycle.
I mean, it's sad. People need to watch out. People know that it's Roar on the Shore. They need to be more careful. They need to watch out for motorcycles.
Now, despite the accidents, most people believe that the Roar on the Shore was a success for Erie. That includes our WSCE.TV web poll voters. Overall, 56% of voters rated the Roar as great and something that put Erie on the map. 30% labeled the event as an inconvenience, though, especially for those trying to get around downtown. The remaining 14% offered no opinion either way. As always, thanks for your thoughts in our WSCE.TV web poll. The head of Erie's Downtown Partnership says there's a new effort to find tenants for two old downtown locations. The Under the Clock restaurant inside the old Boston Store building was closed on November 20th. The Cell Block nightclub closed on March 2nd. John Buckner, the CEO of the Erie Downtown Partnership, says his agency is helping locate potential buyers. He says he's been in contact with a few people who are interested in the under the clock location. Buckner said a possible sale of the Cell Block fell through early this month, but a new group has now stepped forward.
And ultimately, they're looking to do something different that hasn't been done in downtown, which makes it unique because it will be a true destination.
And it hasn't been said whether Under the Clock will stay a restaurant, since most of the equipment there has been removed. Well, in less than 2 weeks, construction projects across the country may come to a standstill because the Highway Trust Fund is set to expire. And now Congress is scrambling to pass at least a short-term bill before the expiration date to keep projects moving. Washington correspondent Lauren Adams reports.
It's crunch time for Congress as critical federal transportation funding is set to expire soon. But recently, the House passed a short-term bill that would supply funding for construction projects until next May.
Those are real jobs, and I'm glad to support this Band-Aid, but we need to continue to work for a long-term solution.
The House version of the bill adds $11 billion to the Highway Trust Fund, but only lasts about 10 months, putting members of Congress in a similar situation next year. But New York Congressman Tom Reed says a short-term solution is better than nothing.
We're going to take that time, and that we've got commitments from the chairman about transportation and ways and means to work with us to come up with a long-term solution, and that's what we need to do.
Even though the House of Representatives passed a short-term extension, the Senate hasn't voted on the matter yet. Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey says a short-term extension is not ideal for the American people.
This is no way to do business, right? We should do long-term highway funding legislation because transportation infrastructure is a really important, legitimate government expenditure.
And Toomey has an idea of how to raise money for a more long-term solution.
When we build new roads, new bridges, bypasses, add lanes, when we add capacity, that ought to be told.
Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey says he agrees that a long-term solution is better for the entire country.
Preferably 6 years, so that we can give states and businesses and communities the certainty that they should have.
And if the Senate does pass a short-term fix, Casey says that's just the first step in what needs to be done.
If that happens, that's good news, but, and this is a substantial point to make, we can't wait until April or May of 2015 to work on a longer-term bill.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Lauren Adams.
Senators haven't said yet when they plan to vote on a short-term extension, but they have said they want to pass a bill before the August recess. We're keeping an eye on the world for you tonight. Here's a look at what we found. A swiftly moving wildfire in a rural area of Washington state has destroyed 100 homes and forced the evacuation of the town of Pateros. About 260 square miles have been burned so far. 2,000 firefighters have been dispatched in an attempt to knock down the flames and save the town from destruction. A large area is also without power as a result of the flames. Perhaps it's not a coincidence that a bad mudslide in Colorado is near the town of Cascade. The mud and debris went cascading over a spillway this weekend and closed Highway 24, backing up traffic for hours. Dump trucks with plows were brought in to move the debris off the roadway. It's a bad area for mudslides. A similar event closed the highway at the same spot 2 years ago. It's becoming something of a tourist attraction in Spring Hill, Florida. A sinkhole that swallowed the road and at least one driveway and seems to be getting bigger. People started flocking to Eldridge Road on Saturday when the sinkhole opened, about 25 feet by 25 feet wide. Hours later, it was 40 by 40, and neighbors say it's not done yet. One house was evacuated as a precaution. A bystander with a cell phone captured these terrifying images of a hot air balloon coming in contact with power lines. This happened over the weekend in Clinton, Massachusetts. The basket of the balloon caught on fire, and 2 people on board were injured and required treatment. 5 people in all were reportedly in the balloon at the time, attempting to land in a residential part of town. About 80 of those homes lost power as a result. It might be a small town, but that doesn't mean it can't throw a big party. We'll look in on Conneautville's 200th birthday bash after Julie's forecast. That's when C News at 6 returns.
Little spotty rain across the area, but most areas stayed dry throughout the day and stayed warm as well. Temperatures are currently in the mid 70s to low 80s. Tomorrow, though, a lot hotter. And we'll take a look at that in First Warning Future Track HD.